Yeah, usually zoning stories don't make headlines, maybe a new shopping center here or a new apartment complex there. But when the city proposes a rezoning that touches nearly every Charlotte neighborhood, well, that's when it gets political and also personal. From Ballantyne to Biddleville, Myers Park to Commonwealth Park, Eastover to Westover. Charlotte's a city of single-family homes, but City Hall is trying to change that.
I believe that building exclusively for single family is not sustainable.
Assistant City Manager Taiwo Jaioba says that's the whole idea behind Charlotte's 2040 plan, that allowing more duplexes in Dilworth or more multifamily in Myers Park will make expensive single-family neighborhoods more affordable, with the kind of housing they don't have now, what the city calls the missing middle.
This missing middle is what you have between apartments and single family. That's what takes care of our police officers, of our childcare providers, right, of nurses. They don't want to live in an apartment. They don't want to live in a single family home, but they want a path to home ownership.
Jaioba adds that the 2040 plan is also a path to more diverse neighborhoods, not the mostly white or the mostly minority neighborhoods that many of us live in, or the history of Charlotte zoning that got us there.
We cannot deny the fact that zoning has contributed to segregation in American cities. We can't deny it, we just have to confront it.
And while many neighborhoods like Myers Park write letters urging council members to vote no on a plan they say is big on neighborhood change, but bad on neighborhood planning.
You go across town to Myers Park or Ballantyne.
Well, many 2040 plan supporters are sounding off about segregation.
Anybody who doesn't want to support this plan is essentially a segregationist. They're trying to hide themselves behind racist laws and policies that will only further perpetuate systemic racism.
Even some city council members are claiming on social media that single family equals segregation. But that focus on race in high-income single-family white neighborhoods like Myers Park and Eastover ignores what happens in low-income single-family minority neighborhoods, where a zoning change could bring other changes.
Right now, in the neighborhood that we stand in, almost half of the homes in this neighborhood are owned by outside investment corporations. And you'll see, just like what behind me here, homes are literally being torn down and new ones are built in their place.
City Council member Victoria Watlington lives here in the Westover Hills neighborhood off West Boulevard, so close to uptown you can see the skyline that makes this neighborhood so attractive to developers. The single-family new homes going up here in Westover are twice the size or more of the older homes right next door. Properties selling at prices that current neighbors can't afford, raising their property taxes too.
What do you need to get on board?
And Watlington worries that if you take away single-family zoning here, then developers will try to build even more.
It's not that everybody's going to come in and tear your house down without your permission. The issue is that it creates a situation where investors are then incentivized to double their returns by converting their single-family rentals into duplexes and triplexes. From a purely money standpoint, that is something that becomes attractive, particularly in neighborhoods where land is cheaper, again, like our most vulnerable neighborhoods in the inner ring.
If you take out single-family zoning and the developers, quote, start moving in, they're not going to move into Myers Park and Eastover for the most part. They're coming here.
Correct. Well, they're already here.
I mean, this is my husband's father's house.
Brianna Hanton says it's nice having her kids grow up in the same home, the same neighborhood her husband grew up in. But from her front porch, Brianna can see the neighborhood's changing.
Like with that house next door, it was an empty lot. And then across those two houses, it was an empty lot too when I came into the family.
Yeah, the new houses coming in are a lot bigger than the old houses that are already
here. A whole lot
here.
Bigger. Yeah, they're a lot bigger.
They're talking about maybe letting them build duplexes and triplexes instead of just single family. And Brianna's reaction is that when the neighborhood changes, well, so do the neighbors.
We've had about over 5 renters. I can honestly say that. And I probably say every year it changes. We have a new renter next door every year.
how are we going to protect our neighborhoods? How are we going to ensure that homes are actually affordable and that there are home ownership options?
Those are the questions Councilmember Watlington wants answered before she votes for any citywide zoning changes.
Gentrification is happening now. How can we make sure that we provide some language in the plan that will be strong enough to protect vulnerable communities from being displaced? And I think that's our job.
When a discussion of land planning turns into a discussion of race, that's when it gets harder for people to come together, I suppose.
Of course it is. As planners, we try to, what we do, it's political enough, but we try to stay away from politics. What this comprehensive plan tries to do is to help us to blur that line. It's to say you should be able to, as a Charlottean, live anywhere you want to live. It's about providing options.
And neighborhoods on all sides of town hope one option is not changing, what makes those neighborhoods great places to live, even as they welcome new neighbors who want to live there.
Politics make strange bedfellows, right? So it really just depends on the issue. I think whichever way we go, we've got to ensure that Charlotte still feels like home.
You know, the entire 2040 plan is more than 300 pages long, and it's not just focused on neighborhood zoning changes or single family versus duplexes, triplexes, and quadruplexes. But that is the issue that most are focused on right now on both sides.